interview.
We did?
They're all professional and shit.
No,
It was very recently.
Was that an interview?
Yeah. It was with our friends, the Shining Wizards.
Okay.
Wizards, yeah. They are a wrestling podcast, and we did a little interview with them.
They're pretty damn good.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing. They're not like us.
Yeah, they're professional.
They got like equipment and stuff. They have better lighting than we do,
I have a
and
camera.
they don't even have
You
video.
see that? That's a camera. They don't have a camera.
They don't.
The Interbar hours.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do. We did an interview, and it's a different format for the usual Monster Closet show with our, with our background, which actually isn't really a green screen. We actually are able to teleport places.
This looks stunningly like an
fail.
apartment.
It's just we transported here.
Oh, that's true.
So
Point well taken.
So what do you say something about it?
Yeah, we sat down with him for about half an hour, 45 minutes. Went over a lot of awesome stuff.
Asked them some questions?
Yeah, questions were asked, answers were given about favorite wrestling stuff, modern wrestling stuff, how they got started.
Deep questions for him.
Yeah.
Some serious, journalistic questions I had for him, which they may or may not liked.
More or less. Do your best to find out who the real wrestling fan in that was.
Yeah, you'll never be able to tell.
There is a wrestling fan among us.
You'll never tell. Well, guys, without any further ado, this is our interview with the Shining Wizards.
Wow. It's us.
All right.
It's you and us.
You and us too, yeah.
Can't win. So you guys have never really been nobody's seen you guys before.
Well, in person.
No, it's not necessarily true.
Yeah.
I mean, we go to a lot of events.
Yeah, I was gonna say you guys go to events.
Yeah,
so
you guys are out there in the circuit. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen you. It's just you haven't done like a whole lot of like video stuff.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want any of the fans to actually see my face.
So we gotta blank this out the whole time.
I'm gonna be honest with you. No one really watches our show, so no one's really gonna see us. No one knows what we look like, and we do a show.
We'll try and help you.
I actually got recognized by one person in a bar, but it was one of his friends.
I always get called the wrong name, so I just keep.
Who are you?
I am Shining Wizards Matt, but I've been called Shining Wizards Kevin before.
Have you been? Yeah.
I have, and I just kept. We were at a wrestling show, and I came around the corner, and all the fans were there, and there's a couple regulars who go to Pro Wrestling Syndicate here in New Jersey, and I'm like, "Hey, it's Shining Wizards Kevin," and I walked around the corner. And then I did like an about face and turned around and just walked the other way. I was like, nope, I'm done.
Well, listen, you should have been flattered, all right?
Yeah,
You got the
You
first
got
part
confused for me. All right, that's a big deal.
You're lucky I didn't just be a complete douchebag, so everyone thought I was Shining.
Then just said some fucked up shit.
I am him, yes, that's me.
That's
Just started like vandalizing things like in his name.
Shining Wizards Kevin was here.
That's awesome.
You can quote me on this.
So I have a question. How the hell did you guys even start this up? The Shining Wizards podcast.
I think it was Tony and Eddie's idea. Eddie is the fourth Shining Wizard. He's not here.
We should have had an 8x10 of him.
We wouldn't have room for him anyway.
If you give us a picture, we'll just Photoshop him in.
You can just hold up a picture of anybody. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
I'll put him
Hold
in.
up,
Give us a
hold up
picture.
Ricky Steamboat
I'll
and
put him
then
in.
say that that's him.
With technology, I'll put him in.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure him and Tony were going to do a podcast, and I just kind of piggybacked my way into it.
And Matt's like, "Oh, I heard you're doing a podcast. Can I get in?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And Eddie was like, "No, don't let him in."
That's not very nice.
And yeah, we were doing it for a while. Actually, Thanksgiving 3 years ago, where we all decided we were going to do it live. We're all going to get together every week, and we're going to do it. And of course, the first show's over Skype.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to leave their house.
Right.
Well,
Right.
if you're a fan of wrestling, you know, like Thanksgiving used to be Survivor Series, and that's like a big dork moment for us. Like Survivor Series, like it's one of the best times of the year.
Yep.
Growing up, all you remember is Thanksgiving dinner and then Survivor Series at night. So we were all home on Thanksgiving, and none of us wanted to leave our respective places of residency because we were all fucking stuffed with turkey.
Yep.
So we said, let's just do it over the internet.
And not drunk at all, I'm sure.
No.
I wasn't.
Oh, all right, we would have ruined it.
That no,
Run with it.
You should have kept up that image.
that progressed once we got here to the studio, which, as you can see, is a lot more than what it was. It used to be a single microphone on that table.
Yep, right in the middle of the room. No soundboard. And eventually we started using actually Rock Band microphones.
Did you?
So we had a daisy chain of USB mics all plugged into the laptop, and it crashed every 20 minutes.
Oh
We had
man.
to stop. We got echoes. We got feedback, and yeah, it was ghetto, but it worked.
So I mean, you're a couple guys from Jersey. We're a couple guys from Jersey. True. You basically took just a normal setup, just kind of like a startup setup, and now you have like an actual podcast. You got great wrestlers coming in and doing interviews. I mean, how do you build up to that point?
Well, it started with Kevin. Kevin was actually one of our first guests. He's been a friend of Matt and Eddie's for a long time. Eddie was not here. Mm-hmm. And I've always known Kevin from knowing these guys. And we had him in. We talked wrestling, and that's how it started, man. It's just like you got a show, get your friends on, because your friends like talking about wrestling. Mm-hmm. And we love Kevin so much, we actually brought him on as the fourth wizard.
A year and a half in? Or 2 years?
It might have been more than a year and a half. It might be like 2 years. I was looking back. Yeah, I was looking back. I couldn't figure out what episode it was where we actually invited you to be a permanent member.
It was after they did WrestleMania in New Jersey.
Yeah, I couldn't figure that out.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. Were you there? Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was there.
Yeah.
We did a show for Pro Wrestling Syndicate here. They gave us a table. They let us interview people, and we were all pussies and we wouldn't interview anybody. And we were vending John Morrison.
Right, I remember this.
And
I totally remember this.
We had never vended a wrestler
No.
before, let alone someone who just left WWE. So
and I've never talked to a wrestler like ever.
So it's like, Kevin, what are you drinking? Irish iced tea. Here you go. Take this microphone and just go talk to the guys.
It was like a pint and a half of like Paw vodka that I brought with me and mixed with whatever they had at the show, Sprite, and we just go around and get my courage up.
And Kevin talked to everybody.
Yeah?
Everybody.
Man, it was awesome.
That's awesome.
Dude, and that's what I'm talking about, upgrades. By then we had a soundboard, we had a wireless mic, so we just put the wireless cans on his head, and full access.
Right.
And we're just, 4 guys in a basement recording a show. Matt reaches out to Pat Buck, who's one of the owners.
Yep.
We get an interview with him, which Matt didn't ask any questions on, but whatever.
And then interview skills suck.
Nah, you got better, dude. You got better. You got a few.
This is our first interview. Nobody's ever come near us before.
Well, you guys are doing fine. Much
I'm
better than Matt.
not nervous about
Now
it.
the question.
No, just a little bit.
Here's a question. In your interviews, did you always have to go somewhere to meet wrestlers in person, or have any wrestlers been here down in these chairs?
Yeah, no.
Who?
I'm sorry. No, like not like a Ricky Steamboat
Right.
or Mick Foley or anything like that. But yeah, we've had quite a few guys.
The Iron Sheik.
If you're a fan of the deeper levels of pro wrestling, not WWE,
Right.
not TNA, but there's a tier right under there, guys from Ring of Honor, guys from Beyond Wrestling. We've had a couple of those guys in, and they've been great. They're super fun, and also Drew Gulak to name one.
Yeah,
And
Drew was here just a couple of weeks ago. Actually.
Yeah, I was listening to
that's a story that we might want to get into later.
Okay.
But
that could be fun to talk about. Like, they didn't bring Coke or hookers or anything.
See, if we had Homicide in studio, we were gonna have Homicide. He's a
That's
former
Kevin
TNA.
naming Homicide, by the way. That's not Tony or Matt naming
No,
Homicide.
I'm not saying we would have brought Coke or hookers.
Homicide's a great guy.
I'm just saying we could have probably had a good time. with Homicide.
These guys are a big party.
I mean, it's still my house. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
I
it's
don't
still-
want.
That's true too.
I mean, the worst we show up with is like a 6 or a 12 and a bottle of sangria.
Faux sangria.
Fake sangria.
Yago's awesome, dude. My
Just to
wife
be clear, I'm not saying Homicide would have brought Coke and hookers.
Oh, now
Okay.
he
Right,
clears it up.
I hear a
That's not what I meant.
retraction.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you guys. If you guys want to get pissed off, it's fine. Are you aware of rumors that wrestling might be fake?
Absolutely.
Get the fuck out. Get out of the studio right now. Fake? You son of
Now, what do you guys think about it?
We're 30-something
Right.
year old men, married, kids, whatever. To an extent, it's fake. It's not a real fight. The matches are predetermined, but if you've ever been in a wrestling ring, if you've ever accidentally been punched in the face, you can't fake that.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
I was gonna say the athletics has got to be.
The athletics
really
is
legit,
something
right?
else, and me and Kevin did something for a promotion in New Jersey a long time before we started this podcast, right when MTV did WWF's Tough Enough.
Yeah, I remember that show.
Indie promotion in New Jersey, they ran a contest where you could go down and try out, and they picked like 2 students, and me and Kevin went down, and I had black and blue marks on my back just from running the ropes.
Right.
Because the rope is just a metal cable. Tony went to wrestling school for a year, 2 years. He was an indie wrestling superstar.
I was a god.
What was your name?
The Experiment.
The experiment.
I was billed as hailing from the the psychiatric ward at Bergen Pines Hospital. Dude, I had shredded medical scrubs. First, my hair was long, and I used to just wet it. But then I started shaving my head and just putting black soot under my eyes.
Nice.
When I started sweating, that's the worst part. If you're not used to sweating with a shaved head, and then you start sweating and it just rolls into your eyes,
Yeah.
that was an eye opener.
Yeah.
Dude,
Literally.
if you call wrestling fake when you have a 400-pound or 300-pound man chop you as hard as he possibly can on your chest twice. I had a handprint on my chest for a week and a half just from all the bursted capillaries or whatever the fuck they're called.
That's how they weed out the guys that don't really want to be there.
Right, smack him around.
You can't take that.
Dude,
That's the name of the game.
I swear to God,
Warning.
so it was Dan Moff was the guy that was chopping me,
Oh yeah.
and it was ridiculous. But anyway,
So you heard it here. Like these guys don't just talk about wrestling; they've been there.
Right.
Okay. They've,
Well, sort of.
yeah, we're not gonna say we.
but you've got at the first step.
Yeah,
So these guys aren't full of shit.
Yeah. Well, that's more than we can say. We just play video games. We don't
We
actually
don't
make
actually
them,
get
but we
shot
talk
at
about
or
them.
anything. Or,
Well, I sell video games.
That's true too. Yeah.
You want to ask us maybe if the snowman, Frosty the Snowman's fake or Santa Claus?
No.
I'm not ready to go down that road.
Jesus.
I don't want to know that answer.
No,
Hopefully
Here's a question for you, gentlemen. Who was your best guest? And I'm not talking about like your most high-profile guest, whatever. Who was the most fun you had with a guest?
I had a lot of fun with Stevie Ray,
Yeah.
one half of Harlem Heat.
Yeah.
That's my guy too.
He held nothing back, dude. He maybe 5-10 minutes in, he was just loose as a goose, was talking about whatever.
Yeah, I second. Stevie Ray was probably my favorite guest. Probably close seconded by Foley. I always have a good time with Foley.
Yeah, Foley was fun.
I would say when we had Dave Destruction and Drew Gulak in studio.
That was just a couple weeks ago too.
Yeah,
That was so much fun though.
Yeah, but like I feel like we're cutting ourselves short because these are like recent interviews that we did. Like Mick Foley was just like a month or two ago, 3 months
longer than
ago?
that, but relatively
WrestleMania.
recent in the
But
grand scheme of things.
there's just so many other guys that we've spoken to, and it's just kind of like
Which were probably not even doing justice to how good those interviews were.
Right.
But Stevie Ray, I can confidently say was my favorite one.
Well, it's hard to remember back, I'm sure.
Right.
You know, I mean, you guys have done, 180 something episodes? 180.
tonight will be 181.
There you go. So, yeah, that's hard to remember everything that you've talked about and who you've discussed it with. So.
All right, so this one's pretty much like an on-topic wrestling question, straight from the E, because that's kind of what I still follow at this point. So, how do you feel about the current direction of like the WWE, since you're dealing with like an absentee champ and kind of like the random pushes, burials, where you're dealing with someone like Ryback who just kind of gets pulled up out of nowhere from obscurity, and someone like Cesaro who everyone was behind, who they've just kind of reburied.
Vince McMahon's out of touch. He is. He's become what Vern Gagne was back in the mid to late '80s. He just now he's realizing that he's got to catch up on things. It's like
Oh, that's the sad thing. He's not realizing that because if you watched, which we'll talk about, did you watch the Austin podcast thing yet?
no.
On Monday night, he still thinks he's in touch, which basically shows you how out of touch he is because he still thinks that he has the pulse of the fan base.
Right.
Which he clearly, in my opinion, does not. I don't think 100% of the things that is going on in the current product is wrong. He tries, he thinks he fails when I don't think he realizes that he's not failing. He had Cesaro at the peak of his thing.
Matt seems pissed off.
It's Cesaro. It's Bryan.
He
It's
says
Punk.
he does this.
It's Ziggler.
He does this Steve
Ziggler.
Austin podcast last night, live on the WWE Network, and he says, "We don't
Only
make the
$9.99.
decisions; the fans make the decisions." Zack Ryder got himself over the moon, over on his own. He put out his own YouTube channel. He worked social media. People loved him. What they do? They stuck him with John Cena, and they squashed him within a month.
Yeah.
And they had him lose. Like, he didn't even win a blow-off. He wound up losing at
He
WrestleMania.
got pushed off the stage in a fucking wheelchair because John Cena was sticking his fingers in Slop Puss Marie or whatever her name is.
Yeah, and she wound up leaving him. And what was his big send-off at the end of the WrestleMania match? She kicks him in the balls and walks out on him.
Right.
Like, that's a total burial of a
Yeah.
character that everybody was in love with.
Yeah.
The problem with
And how do you come back from that? You don't.
No.
the current product, they rely too much on part-time people. Brock Lesnar is the champion. He hasn't been on your TV since Night of Champions.
About, yeah.
Probably.
It's been like 2.5 months at least.
Well, don't they bring The Rock in back and forth too? Like they just drop him in out of
They do.
nowhere.
It's
That's the
it's
other
a
thing.
slap in the face to all these guys who do, 270 days on the road,
Right.
or house
Probably
shows.
more, yeah.
Like, I would have no problem with the part-timers coming back if they did more with the talent while the part-timers are gone. Like if they had an elevated roster other than John Cena and retreading Big Show turning heel every freaking week, I'd have no problem with that. But it's just they don't do anything with the guys while the part-timers are away.
You get guys like Jim Ross, like Stone Cold, and they say nobody's grabbing for the brass ring, nobody's really going for it. WWE is the only game in town right now.
Right.
I'm not shitting on TNA or Ring of Honor, but they're the only game in town. If you don't have a job with them, you're probably not going to make a good, easier living rather than jumping from town to town every day. Nowadays, nobody cares.
Right.
You can't grab the brass ring unless they tell you, okay, it's your
Grab the
turn.
brass ring. Right.
It's your turn. Now.
Yeah.
And that's what's frustrating. Because back when there was competition and there was like the threat of anybody jumping here, there, and everywhere and getting paid guaranteed contracts with millions of dollars, you know, there's nothing. It's easier to work under that system. Now it's just not there.
The most frustrating thing is when you hear the reaction the crowd is giving some of these guys. And Ziggler might be an exception now because it seems like they're focusing on him a little more. But when you heard the pop that Ziggler got when he won the World Championship, cashed it in Alberto Del Rio, and the pop that he's been getting ever since, and still 50-50 booking every week, wins on Raw, loses on SmackDown. It's just so frustrating that he doesn't hear. Every time Ziggler walks to the ring, he points to the crowd and he's like, "You hear it?" And he goes like that and all that stuff. He's like, "You got let them know in the bag."
Right.
And then now it seems like they're finally doing something, but who knows how long.
Well, it's almost like he's actually promoting on air.
Yeah, and
Which is kind of crazy. But.
You lose faith in Triple H and Vince McMahon and the team back there every time because you've seen it before.
Yeah.
You've seen these guys get it and then get it taken away.
They let Cesaro at WrestleMania scoop the Big Show over his head, take 5 steps to the ropes, and just toss him over.
Yeah. When was the last time you heard about that stupid trophy?
Right.
When was the last time you heard about that?
That could have been a selling point for an entire year. He could have made that an entire year program where look at me, look at what I've done, I want the title shot.
Right. All right, I have one question for you. 1-word answers real quick, and then Steve's going to wrap it up.
Okay.
Who was your favorite wrestler when you were a kid?
Bret Hart.
Okay, who's your favorite wrestler when you were a kid?
Hulk Hogan.
Okay.
Bret Hart.
Kevin? Bret Hart?
Serious question.
Yeah.
I don't like the way he asked him like that.
Yeah.
Now,
It was deep in his voice.
I'm scared.
I am getting scared.
now, answer honestly, guys.
Answer honestly.
Answer honestly. Very serious here.
Go ahead. Spit it out already.
Hot Rod or Keith David? Who won? Hot Rod or Keith David?
Did you see this movie?
Oh,
Yeah. They live.
Who won? The fans won.
That's a great answer.
That's the political answer.
right. Well, that's
and Matt speaks for us. So
That is a great answer.
there you
man.
have it, folks.
That is, thank you very much.
guys, it was so much fun.
Awesome. Yeah. Do it
So
again.
who won here? The Wizards or the Monsters?
Well, I'm guaranteeing you guys won.
Hey, folks, did you like that interview?
I didn't. Oh wait.
I loved it. Oh, I love it.
We were in it. I love it. Smells like raw sewage. Listen, folks, if you like that, hey, we actually got a name. If you do a keyword search, the Shining Wizards will come instead of just Monster Closet. Isn't that better? Is that better? Do you like that better? Okay, so
I don't blame you. They're good.
Yeah.
they're good. They know what they're doing.
I listen to them.
Yeah.
They're actually interesting.
And ladies and gentlemen, I know you've been patiently waiting. We appreciate that.
No, they haven't.
Well, I was trying to be nice, dude. Come on. Welcome to another exciting edition of the Shining Wizards Wrestling Podcast. Another live edition where, of course, it's wrestling talk.
And talk about wrestling.
Tony
Matt.
Kevin.
and we are apologetic, but we were busy doing some things with our brothers just to the slight north of us in North Jersey. Monster Closet. They've got a YouTube channel. Please go check those guys out. Monster Closet NJ on the YouTubes.
This is what happened when Steve riffs.
I riff, and disasters happen to you.
Steve Vamp, go Vamp.
What's that mean? Is that like a great movie with Grace Jones?
No. Should have been.
They said the movie
Should have been.
was. What do you mean it should have been?
That shit.
He knows. Is that from that movie? Wait, did she do that song first, or did the police do that song first?
She
or
did a
Sting?
cover.
Oh, she covered it from the
Yeah.
Sting. Okay.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay. So
I
anyway,
remember the video.
I remember the video too. She's like, She's getting all like interpretive dance. So anyway, like watch, we got them on, so watch the show, right?
Yes. And by the way, to any of you who were not originally Monster Closet fans and are coming over from Shining Wizards, we appreciate it.
Welcome.
Hit the subscribe button. We want to do another 2 or 3 shows with these guys eventually, hopefully. So maybe we'll do a little home and home series. They'll be on our turf talking about our stuff, but hopefully you find it interesting enough to stick with us. We love doing this show. Again, we've said this a million times.
Yeah.
But we just need the support, and
Hey.
we do appreciate it.
Hey folks, next episode is our 1-year anniversary.
No!
So
Already?
we made it, guys. We made a year, and none of you watched, but we'll talk about that next
We
week.
didn't even think we were gonna do it. You thought we were just doing this thing. We were gonna do like 5 episodes, and we'd stop there for you to watch. Nope.
Nope. That's right.
What do we have, like 8,000 episodes?
It's something like
now?
this, like 8,000.
Oh.
So you watched
we
like
just
maybe
kept
3 of them.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna keep doing it. So, but we'll talk to you about that next week.
Thanks,
Goodbye.
guys. Peace.